And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley. And today I have on with me somebody who is special to me, somebody who is near and dear to my heart, who has been, oh shoot, I don't even know how many years it's been. I just know it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I introduced to you guys Rowe Collier. And the reason why I wanted to have him on today, this is the 1 year anniversary of the passing of one of my very best friends in life. And Ro got the honor to know him, meet him along our life's journey. And I'm like, well, if it's Everybody Can't Go Convo every Wednesday, and this just so happens to be the Wednesday, we're gonna go ahead and honor him today. I know that some of you guys may have wondered, like, oh, well, who's that guy that was at the beginning of some of the episodes? Like, why do you keep putting this in your intro? And we'll talk a bit about that, why that was there, why that memorialized piece was at the beginning of quite a few of my episodes during last year and moving into 2025. So, Ro, thank you for coming on with us today. Thank you for agreeing to this tall task. I appreciate you coming on.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. I'm gonna always support you. So,
I feel you on that, and I thank you for that support. You guys, for today, we're going to dive straight into it, and we're going to talk a bit about the grief process. As you guys know, if you've been following the show and the socials, you know that the Spring Forward Writers Retreat was just a couple of weeks ago. And I set out the challenge that I was going to write my book in one weekend. And I did end up on the topic of talking about grief. And so, in that, I wanted to talk a bit with you about your experience with this. What I came to find through my research was a traumatic event for quite a few of us. So, how has your personal experience with loss shaped your perspective on grief? And what surprised you the most about the grieving process as we've worked our way through this over the past year?
yes. So one of the main things is that grief is just so jarring, right? It's so jarring no matter when it takes place, even if it's something that you are expecting. Maybe a loved one or someone is sick. It's still gonna jar. It's still gonna be very jarring to you and your spirit. But I think that when it's unexpectedly, um, when you literally were talking to a person 3 or 4 days before you lose them, it does a little bit of something to your soul, to your spirit. I think that for this, and I would say it was definitely probably in my whole life, and I'm mid 30s. It was probably my third biggest loss, and one being my aunt, who was really like a mother to me. Then I lost my husband in 2021, and then Keith. And so, what I can say that what is crazy is how each of them shaped me differently. I think that losing my aunt was at a pivotal point in my life. I was like in my last semester of school. And so I had more of a distraction and I had a goal to meet. So that was like a push through. And then I think with my husband, that was like, oh, this is the biggest loss that I could have. I can make it through anything if I can make it through this. And I think that with this one, it was kind of a wake up call to me that I need to be doing right in my life. I need to be doing right by people, because if someone who's so good and so great of a person to me can up and go, I need to be prepared for anything. And so it's kind of numbed me. And I think for a while I felt bad about that, because it was kind of like desensitizing me. It seems like I notice how we lose someone and we kind of just move on. And I would be a person, I'm kind of stuck. I need to know why. I need to investigate further. There has to be a reason for this. And so I think that that's definitely where I have been, even still a year later, kind of just in a limbo of could I just wake up from this? You know, could is this you know is this just a bad dream? And you know, and then there are some days where I'm like, I wake up and I can think about something that he did or said that helped me along my other journeys, because the crazy thing is that he was there with me through my other two huge losses.
Mhm.
So it's weird not having that support. That 4 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep and I don't know why, and I could call him and he's like, oh, I can tell you why. Because he also had a huge loss as well. So it was
Mhm.
just like an understanding that I had with him, that I feel like now I don't have that person that can help me through. So it's just been such a journey trying to get back to happy, trying to be okay talking to a therapist when I felt like that person was like my therapist. And so it's kind of weird to be talking to someone about him. And even, you know, realizing how much of an impact he had on me. Like, I think that we definitely take people for granted when they're here.
Yeah. And we always think that we have more time.
Yeah.
I would say that that is something that I came to a realization to. Um, of course, the loss hit me like a ton of bricks. And in working through, I'm still working through it. I thought that I worked through it, but I'm just now coming to the realization that I didn't. That stuck feeling, that feeling of being so numb that you literally don't feel anything. If you do feel something, you feel like, okay, hurt, it hurt. And it's like, okay, well, what's the emotion under that? What's the feeling under that? And the truth is sometimes it's like a myriad of feelings. It changes day to day. I
Yeah.
mean, some days I will just see something, or like I remember that time, and it was kind of interesting to me. Well, now I would describe it as interesting. After a while, I started just getting pissed off about it. But when you've been friends with someone for so long, you don't realize how many memories that y'all had together. Um, so for viewers, this was my best friend from growing up at church. So y'all know that's way, way back. So from childhood on. And by the time we met Roe, we had already been friends for over
Oh,
10 years at that point.
yeah.
Like, I think it was pushing like 15.
hmm
So, this was somebody that I was approaching 30 years of friendship with. And because he'd always been there, um, I didn't really notice how much of a part of our family he really was. Um, like you can easily take for granted the access that somebody has to you in your life when
Truly.
you literally get used to them being there because they've been there for so long. There was a day in particular, I was like, well, if I could just go to church. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm not gonna cap, I have not stepped foot in the church where we started since then, because I'm like, I'm gonna go in this church and act a fool. I'm like, Ma, I love you, but I ain't got it to do Mother's Day because
Right.
this is supposed to be about you, and it's gonna end up being about me. So I'm
Exactly.
like, girl, let's just go to brunch. Like, I'll let you guys know when I'm ready. And I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I thought that this would be enough time for me to get ready, but like I can feel my body tensing up even thinking about walking in there because of I just know that that building in particular holds so many memories.
Right.
And so I decided to go to my new church and go to another church, not the one that we grew up at, and of not even the same denomination, okay, not even the
Wow.
same doctrine. But on that particular day, we grew up Baptist, and the church that I attend now is Seventh-day Adventist. And there was a service, and lo and behold, they're like, we're doing baptisms today, and there was like a line of people that were touched by the words, and they're like, okay, we're not turning anybody away, and they began to do the baptisms. This isn't a time that you're supposed to move, you're not supposed to be walking around. And lo and behold, what do they start singing? Keith's favorite song. I call him Jason.
Wow.
But I'm like, I'm sitting there paying attention and just like, oh, this is so great, all these souls are getting saved. And just out of nowhere, like, and I'm like, oh, wait, no, 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 not right now, not now,
Not
not now. This is
here.
not the time. This is not the time. And he and I used to always joke about like when you're in a state of being just really sad. He would always say, you have to throw a blanket over me and carry me out like James Brown. And I'm like, I can't have a James Brown moment right now. Like, don't throw the blanket over me. And I did like have to remove myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, that ain't the Holy Spirit. What happened? What happened? I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, it literally was just like a trigger that I didn't even know would be a trigger. And I'm like, I'm literally running away from this. Why?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? And it gave me a very deep moment of pause.
Yeah.
And I really had to think about, well, dang, I'm kind of gonna have to be prepared at any moment for anything to remind me of 30 odd years
Yeah.
of us being together, like things that I literally never would have thought of, that like, and memories that I'm like, why would I remember that randomly? Like, if you were
Right.
still here, like this isn't even a story that we share with one another. Why did a noise or a song, a sound, a smell, why did it trigger a memory in your loss? Um, and so yeah, the process I would say is definitely been kind of wild, just in terms of learning what the new norm looks like.
Yeah.
um because even though it's the new norm by force, I still don't feel like it's normal. um and I still don't feel normal. Like, it's just weird not being able to pick up the phone. Like, I don't know, it's just it's weird. It's You see, I'm still even struggling with
Yeah.
putting it into words.
It's always a very hard thing to try to normalize, you know, and even when you're going through, like I know for me, like when I'm having those moments, a lot of times it's literally thinking of all of those crazy times that we would be like, man, we gonna talk about this in 10 years. Like, oh my God, this is gonna be funny 10 years from now. It's gonna be so hilarious. And so the crazy thing about social media and our access to it now is, now on all these applications, we have those memories that pop up that are, oh, 5 years ago today, 10 years ago today. So um, I used to have a thing with him where I told him, every time we get together, we need to take a picture. We need to take a picture every single time that we get together. And he like, we can take a picture, but you better not tag me on Facebook. I'm like, but why? Like, why? Like, I need to tag you. I need to be able to tag you on Facebook. And so I'm noticing that with him not being here anymore, I'm starting to see those memories so much pop up. And I'm like, man, when he was here, I swear I never seen this. or I just looked past it and didn't pay it no mind. But now it throws me sometimes. Today I logged on to Facebook, and the first thing it said was, "Oh, you have memories with Keith Jason Morris from 7 years ago today." And I was just like, I don't even want to click it. But what I was like, you know what? But what I decided is that I'm gonna click it. If it's a photo, I'm just gonna save the picture, because I probably don't have it on my phone anymore. So I'm gonna save the picture. I'm gonna take the time to find some site or something. I found this place called Mixed Tiles. I'm gonna make a whole little. I mean, every picture that I see that I like of us, I'm gonna make a whole little thing, get it printed and whatnot, and then it would be Facebook statuses. And he had this thing where he used to always say on Facebook, "Oh, just thinking about you, kid. I hate you. Just let you know I hate you." And I remember my mom used to be like, "What is going on with you and Keith? Like, why are y'all on Facebook?" Like, he loves me. That's his love. Like, he doesn't really mean that, because she like, y'all say it every single day. I'm like, it's definitely just a love, but just going through that and seeing those memories, and or seeing him talk about different memories on there, it those are what gets me. It's like, man, I won't have those opportunities to create those memories with him again. I won't have the opportunity to talk trash to him, to his children, about the things that we did in college, and how just the smell of Chardonnay makes me think of him, because he used to always try to get me to drink some wine. I'm like, I'm not drinking no Chardonnay. That's old. That's for old people. And it's like, I that those are the things that really just, I'm like, man. And you find yourself trying not to be the Debbie Downer to others. I try not to, be a Debbie Downer and reach out to people, and like, I don't want to bring anybody else's mood down, because I'm going through my stage of reminiscing, or grieving, because that is different for everybody. For me,
Mhm.
it's turned into memorializing. Like, when I have that moment and I'm really thinking about him, is when I go to, let me do something in remembrance. Let me stick some pictures together of us, or let me save all of our conversations. Like, I've done that. I've and prepared to probably launch on the anniversary. I've stitched all of our Facebook messages and made it all, like, and I'm gonna get it printed. Just things that I don't want to lose. Because who knows, in 2 years what can happen to technology. Um, and so I'm like, man, this is the only way that I'm able to push through and feel okay, because I don't want to push it all off on everybody. I know that can be a lot too. You always want to say, "Oh, I'm here for you, and I'm here for you if you need me," and blah, 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 with your friends when everyone's going through. But my trigger and me wanting to vent to you, who knows what that could do for you, and bring your whole entire, you know, things that you've been building and working on, and your grieving process back down. I even noticed it with me, like, for a long time, for a few months, I just wouldn't talk about it. Um, and when our friends would try to bring it up, or, I just stayed away. I would exit the group chat. I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to do anything. I'm trying to, not think about it. And I had to think about what my therapist told me, which I did previously when my spouse passed away. I continued to live as if he was living. I did not want to deal. I didn't move anything in my house. I left everything was the same from the day that he left me. And and I was like, this is not good for my mental. I need to figure out what it is that can help me get through. And it was that act of memorializing him. So now at any given turn, I'm trying to do it. Let's put down a plot at UAD. Let's do something in remembrance of him. Let's do something. And I know everybody's probably tired of me, like, okay, how many things can we do? Like, but I'm like, well, for me, it's making me feel like I'm keeping his name alive, and I'm just happy that he's one of those people that so many of us want to do that for.
Mhm.
Um, he was special. He was special. So yeah. Whew.
Yeah, that's real. So you talked about that. that feeling of feeling stuck. And I can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah.
Um, that that just like you literally you can't move, you can't think, your mental won't go nowhere,
Hmm.
your physical self won't go nowhere, and you're just stuck. So, with it sounds like you've kind of developed and are still developing your way of working through the grief process. Would you have advice for anybody who feels like they can't move forward after losing a loved one?
Yes, the most important thing is to remember that it is, quoting Jason, second by second, minute by minute, moment by moment, it's gonna change. And you just have to be okay with sitting in that and be okay with those around you trying to help you cope. I think that we kind of get upset or defensive when we are venting or have those around us who are trying to make us feel better. Um, and sometimes you just want them to be there and listen. And that's what I try to lead with now. It's like, hey, I just need you to be my ears at this moment, for me to try to sit in this and work through it. But you can't run from it. I think that I was definitely doing a lot of trying to run from it instead of just dealing and understanding. I mean, it's just being a man. Like, no matter what, that's what my DNA is. And so it's like that part of me wants to not be emotional. I can't be emotional. I gotta be strong for everybody. And so letting it happen though, letting those emotions run through you. Grief, the stages of grief are all over the place. You cannot control them. So far I've went one full month. I went one full month without having a breakdown about it. And that just shows you like I can actually recall it being one full month. Like I literally was like, it's been 30 days and I haven't cried about him. I'm proud of myself. But in those 30 days, I kept myself busy with things that did remind me of him. You know,
Mhm.
I tried to be that listening ear for uh, those little brothers that we had, that he was the ears for, because that's what he was. He was really the person we all called. And so for me, I was like, man, let me remove myself, and what would Jason do? How would he approach this? What joke, either, I mean, even down to what corny jokes would he crack in the middle of the conversation? Like, and I've had brothers be like, wow, that just reminded me of Keith. And I'll be like, I'm just trying to deal with my grief by keeping the positive things and the light that he had, in the forefront. And he would say the same. Like, he would just be like, you just gonna have to be okay with me calling you at 3 a.m. When he was going through, he was just like, if you could just be okay with me calling you at that time. And I'm just like, it's fine. You can do that. It doesn't, like, whatever it is that we need to do to be supportive of one another. So keeping a strong support system around you, you have to
Mhm.
do that. You have to keep a strong support system around you. You don't want people who are judgmental about your grief. Because if they haven't walked that walk through what you've been through in any kind of way, they won't understand. And so you get those individuals who are kind of like, oh, like, you're not over that yet, or, and it's like that. Those aren't the type of people you want in your corner. You want those people who are gonna, support you so much that sometimes they may just realize it before you realize it that your meltdown is coming.
Mhm.
And I've had people do that to me with my posts on Facebook and things like that. If they see me just not really saying much, but I'm reposting a lot of him, but da da da, and they'll just reach out and be like, "Hey, you haven't said anything, but I'm just noticing that you're posting a lot about him, and if you want to talk about him, it's something you want to discuss, or even they saying like, you post a lot about him, I want to talk to you about something, a funny story, like even those things, you know." kind of helped me pull at my heartstrings a little bit, but it also kind of helps me get through. But it's all about you just being okay with working through those stages of grief and not trying to numb yourself with, any distractions, um, especially if they're negative distractions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yes, because we can do that too. I definitely had to even catch myself like, I'm a person, I'm not even a drinker. And, for that little moment right after, I was like, it was the only thing that was helping me cope. And I was like, oh, I got to catch myself. I can't get
Mm-hmm.
caught up in that because then I'll start using this, to mask other things. And that just would have opened up a whole new can of things that I didn't want to deal with. So,
Right, right. And that I'm glad that you brought that up because one of the things that I talk to the audience about a lot of the time is you get to choose. No matter what it is, you always have a choice.
yeah.
And in the feeling of being stuck through this process, I'm like, well, dang, you can literally choose anything
Mm-hmm.
in life. And I'm like, I did not have a choice in this. And it was hard for me to take a look at where I did have choices to make
Yeah.
surrounding the one big decision that I didn't have a choice at. For a while I did feel discouraged in that, like, oh well, you got a choice at everything, but I don't have a choice about this. But what I had to kind of, I told y'all coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
So I had to get coached, and I also had to do a little bit of coaching, coach myself. I told you guys that I'm going through this journey with you, and I did have to take a step back and look at the places where I did have a choice,
Yeah.
whether or not I was going um to self-medicate, or whether I was just going to allow myself to feel the numbness, or am I going to try to put something else on top of the numbness? Am I just going to work instead of think about this? Am I
Mm-hmm.
going to, like, there is still a choice in the grief about the thing where we have no choice.
Yeah.
And all of those small choices are a place where it, even if you choose the wrong thing, I would say that it puts you in just that much of a healthier space, that you're even aware that even though there was that one big choice that you didn't have any say so whatsoever, there are still choices that you can make on a daily basis, and a myriad of them, for how you will deal with your grief. And just being aware of, you know what, I'm about to make the unhealthy decision because I'm sick of
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yep.
I will say, like, hats off to anybody who is even to the point where they're aware that they're about to make an unhealthy decision, and that you are really saying F it, and you're consciously doing that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm condoning that, you guys. Y'all, look, disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional, so miss me with it. There's your disclaimer. Boom. But like, in all seriousness, it does, I would say, it's a sign that you are moving through whatever your cycle of grief is.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where even though you still have that stuck feeling, you are at least thinking about what you're thinking about, and are aware that, you know what, I really just don't feel like it. So I'm going to do the thing that I shouldn't. I've dealt with this enough, so I'm going to dot dot dot. So for anyone who is at that stage, or you've come back around to that part of the cycle again, I would definitely encourage you, because even having that awareness, that is another step in the healing process. And with, I don't really even like calling it a healing process, because I don't feel like we ever truly heal from it.
True.
We learn to live around it.
Mm-hmm.
We learn to live through it. We learn to dare I say, grow through it. I still haven't found the growth in this. When I say just choose joy, count it all joy. Shout out to Mignon. Like I am choosing that. I'm choosing to claim that my growth through this is I'm able to have this conversation and be calm and not lose it.
Right.
Um, and there was a series of choices all throughout this evening,
Of
throughout
course.
the day, to prepare me to be able to be at least partially concise and to be able to speak legibly to you all and to be able to process my thoughts and some of the things that I wanted to delve into with talking about someone who was so near and dear to me, and you as well as so many other people. Just thinking through, like, I'm like, I mean, the episode could end up being a week or too long if I just did like a series of interviews.
Right.
I was like, look, let me call two or three people to like kind of like just cram so much life
Right.
into a hour long episode is literally impossible.
Yeah.
Um and so I like thank you for coming in and talking with me and the audience
Of course.
about your experience with Jace and with your experience and giving advice on the grieving process that you have gone through. I know you guys have well, if you were taking notes, I forgot to tell you to grab your pen and your paper. You might not even need it. Just run back the episode. Um, but yes, thank you for sharing the insight that you have. And I am looking forward to additional healing, additional growth, um, and to continuing moving through this process because it is definitely a long road ahead
Yes.
and um not it's not easy. That's that's the simplest way that I can put it. Um I know sometimes it's easy for us to make it look easy,
Hmm.
um especially when you don't call other people or everybody else or whatever. Um, it yeah, it's it's a road ahead. We were supposed to get to the nursing home
Exactly.
and I barely got graves. Like so I'm yeah, have my little Titanic moment. I'll never let go, Jack. And just the number of times I watched that movie when it first came out. He used to flame me for that on a regular. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is
That was
hilarious.
my favorite movie as a kid, for a chunk of time. And just thinking about like how old that movie is, like that was a while
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was, yeah, like you said, 30 years of friendship. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was always, and even with you guys, it was just always a breath of fresh air to see y'all interact with one another. Like it gave y'all were those kids in church every time. Like it gave that all the time. Like as soon as y'all saw each other, it was definitely like, what they about to get into? Like so that was
Do
like a
you
breath of fresh air. So
Do you know how long it took us to finally be able to go to school together between my mom and his mom? We had been begging to go to school together since like what was that, the fourth grade?
wow.
And it didn't happen until undergrad. So I know people got sick of us yelling best friend across campus. And it's like, oh, is that your best friend? Like your best friend? And I'm like, what? Ew, no. Like, no, literally, literally.
Okay,
That
literally.
was it is wild that we was like well not grown we was just one grown with the little G
With the little G.
at that at that time that it took so long for us to be able to be at the same school. Dang. Like, I think sometimes we get so used to living life that we like I'm really getting to the point where you know how like the old heads they be like, yeah, you'll see, keep on
Mm-hmm.
living,
Yep.
time be flying by, and I'm like, what do you mean? I am forever young. But when I really do start to think back and like count the years in between things, I'm like, yo, time really do be flying.
It flies.
And I feel like we still have so much ahead of us, but when I'm counting back all of the time that has passed, it's like, yo, it really do feel like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
Like it was just a couple months ago. And we're talking about
Crazy.
things that it is a decade ago, 15
Yeah.
years ago, in some cases 20
I
years
mean,
ago.
we're I'm coming up on almost 20 years of when I met him.
Hmm.
So, and it's crazy for me to think, I'm like, man, he was a baby. I'm a few years older than him. So I'm like, I was at least coming into being legal to drink. And when he was like a freshman, I'm like, oh my goodness, he was like a freshman with these big tall tees.
We used to
and
let them talk tease, pop for 20.
okay, and his Kango hat sometimes, and I used to be like, Keith, why you dressing like an old man? Like you dressing like an old.
Get
And he
that
talking,
Uncle Paul smooth.
and he talking, yeah, but who the old one? Who the old, but who really the old man? Man, that's yeah, man. The years fly, and I'm just appreciative that I had the chance to be a part of his journey in some way. I'm so glad that he was a part of mine in the way that he was, and it's so funny how things work out because I think that my first time coming around him, um, it was literally when he was becoming a Sigma, and I think that was just a different time. And then I kind of fell back a little bit, and when I came back around, he had a couple of years on him in the organization, and he was just different. Like I did, though I was older, I sought wisdom from him
Hmm.
that I didn't when we initially met. And so that used to be a thing I used to tell him all the time, like, man, I don't even think that you know how wise you are. And then once I met like Mama Gwen and Uncle Paul and Aunt Dot, I was just like, this is why he's like this. Like this man is. It was instilled in him to just be a good brother, a good man, a good person. And so I'm happy that I can honestly say I met somebody like that. Like I met someone who I know didn't wish any ill will on anybody, always wanted the best for everybody. And he didn't have to know you. He never met a stranger. That man
That
never met
part.
a stranger. He never met a stranger. We could be out and having the time of our lives and headed home. And the next thing I know, we at Detroit 1 with some people that we just met, eating, talking, and going to church with them on a Sunday. He talking about inviting them to church. You don't know these people.
Look, if that man was gonna do one thing, he was gonna invite him to New Calvary. Now look.
So that was like, man, that warms me to see, and also a thing that kind of hurts because when I think about the fact that like that's a person that if you like, oh, I'm having kids, this is the type of person you want to be in their lives.
Hmm.
So that's the flip side of it. It's like, ugh, you know, but now I gotta try to live that, you know, as a part of him. So man, wow.
Yeah. And you know that I can actually say that's definitely something about him that I took for granted because we was together for so long. Like the wisdom that he carried, I was so used to him being like that. It's just
Yeah.
like best friend, such and such is happening. And it's like, well, come over here and like it's like I kind of just got used to having that safe space and being that
Mhm.
safe space.
Yeah.
Um, And like when you get used to having somebody around like that, it leaves a like a gap. It left a hole that I'm like, well, dang, I know exactly who would know exactly what to do right now,
Yeah.
but I don't have an answer. Um, and look, just disclaimer, because everybody, when somebody passed away, they be like, he was such a great crit.
Nah.
Like, y'all know the one thing I'm gonna do is tell the truth. Because shoot, I got family members. I ain't gonna even say their relation because y'all gonna get mad at me if I tell you who, based upon the way they live their life, they probably in hell.
Okay.
But like, no, seriously, this was a person that like on fire for God
Hmm.
will literally be sitting there like it will be some drama, and it's like, you guys, we shouldn't do this. I was like, shut up, Jason.
Okay.
Like,
You trying to get in the drama, and he like, what do you mean? Like, come on. Now
like
that's
we're all
just
friends. We're not doing this. And I'm like, sure, you everybody's friend. I'm not. I'm doing
okay.
this. And it's like, Jesse, no, come on. Like you talking about the angel on one shoulder, if I'm the
Hmm.
devil on the other one, okay? Like literally,
Truly.
never like even him raising his voice wasn't him raising his voice
It
for
sure
real.
wasn't.
Like
It sure wasn't.
you talking about a person that did not have a mean bone in their body, even when like it was deserved,
Yes.
even when it like he just had a way about him that even when it was called for to be like, man, insert expletive, like he just didn't. And I don't necessarily like the idea of someone's assignment being finished, and that's why they get called home. Um, but I'm not supposed to be leaning on my own understanding. And I roll my eyes when I say that
Hmm.
because that's something that he would say to me.
Hmm.
Like, I'm in my feelings. Don't tell me about the scriptures right now. Like, best friend, I'm not trying to hear that. And because he literally lived his life that way, like I really didn't even think about how many times he brought the like even though you grow up in church,
Yeah.
you it's in one ear and out the other because you've
Yeah.
heard it so many
So
times, so
much.
many times,
Yeah.
so many times. But really thinking about those things that had been instilled when we were like children, and how many times he brought those things back to me throughout life into adulthood, and just even thinking about it now, whether I want to think about what he would say or not, like just some, how you spend enough time with a person, their voice
Yeah.
just pop up in your head, and it's like, okay, subconscious Jason, like mind your business. Like I'm
Mind
trying
it.
to be ratchet. I'm trying to handle this the way I want to handle it. And
Exactly.
then now it's like okay, you know what, in your memory, let me not go off about this thing that I should have went off on, or this person I should have went off on, or this thing I should have went off about, because I know what you would say.
Hmm.
And thinking about it now, I end up with a bit more conviction. As I think about like, dang, I already know what you would say. Sometimes I'm just like, all right, big dog.
Hmm.
But yeah. So before we close, I got one more question for you. Um, what advice would you have for people when we're talking about boundaries during the grieving process, when we're dealing with, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, when we're dealing with family or friends who may not understand your way of grieving or your grieving process?
Yes. Again, because we all are so different, it's okay that they don't understand. It's okay.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with them not understanding because we are all different people. The the issues lie when they are not willing or can't support you in a way that's positive. You know, you just have to. be okay knowing that everyone doesn't think like you. And you have to just find that village. Find that village of people that are just going to be, again, that listening ear for you. You know, for me, it's not even necessarily any advice most of the time that I seek from anybody. Sometimes I just need an ear. I just need an ear. And then, you know, what I've learned is if that person is honestly just willing to be that ear, it's going to naturally just be a free flowing conversation of you bouncing those thoughts and those feelings off of them, and it'll help you move through. You know, um, just telling them how you feel and them asking you, well, what triggered that today, and blah 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 blah. Because I know for me, sometimes I don't even know until I actually vent to someone what triggered it. It was
Mhm.
just it was just I just had that moment, and it's like, oh wow, you know what triggered it today? This was, when I think about it, this is the anniversary of the day that I met that I met
Oh,
this
wow.
person. And that's crazy. Like, I would have never thought about that if they were here. But this is
Mhm.
literally the anniversary of the day that we met. Or for me with him, the last thing that happened was last month. It was the anniversary. It was the anniversary of our first like little car accident together. And we hid it from everybody. We hid this car accident from everybody, but we were so stuck and shocked that got out in the middle of the freeway and shot. That was my first time ever seeing someone, I feel like a man like that, truly shout and praise God. Like we were in the middle of the freeway of the lodge. And but I had a moment, I didn't really know why, and when I talked to someone and they were like, man, I wonder what triggered you, like anything coming up, blah blah blah, and I was just like, no, I don't really know. And then I was just like, dang, I don't really know what it was. And when I happened to go on Facebook, it was one of those things where his status was about me, but it was our insider about the accident. I was like, oh wow.
Mhm.
Me just thinking about, in my mind then, it was, we made it. I have a
Mhm.
memory with this person where we had a life altering moment where we could have not been here together, but we made it. And he made me okay with this car, it's gonna be okay, but we here, you know. And so make sure that you are setting those boundaries of finding your village of people who you can be candid and speak to, who aren't gonna be judgmental of you, because grief is so all over the place. It is not going to always be a positive experience for you when you're going through it, but you want those people around you who are patient enough to want to pull you out of that rut, if that's, you know, if I can say that. Because it takes patience, it takes love, it takes a special type of person to, you know, not be thinking about themselves in a moment and to think about what it is that you need to get through this particular moment. Because again, Jason would say, it's second by second, it's minute by minute, it's moment by moment. And man, if that's the one thing that rings true that I will probably take with me forever from him. Because like I said, with him being in my life through my huge stages, and he said that same thing, that's how I know he believed that. Because he said it to me in 2011. He said it to me in 2021. And if I'm gonna be honest, a really crazy, just a quick thing, we actually lost a person close to us right before him, which is what prompted me and he and I to start speaking very frequently right before he passed. And he told it to me then, and then I lost him not even a week later.
Mhm.
So I know that sticks with me because I know he believed it just by it didn't change. It didn't change in 12 years. He said the same thing when it came to, you know, grief and losing someone. So, I promise I'm gonna take it with me. I'm gonna tell everybody every time someone loses someone, that's what I'm gonna lead with because when it happens, that's what I say. Moment by moment, just take it moment by moment, just take it second by second. It's okay. So, whew, Oh, I
We
made
made
it.
it.
I made
We made it.
it. Oh,
And
I'm so
I'm
nervous.
proud of us. I'm proud of us. Cause look, I ain't gonna lie. My trigger finger was ready to be like, hold on, cut.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
we made it. So we will go ahead and call that a wrap. And keep an eye out for the grief series that will be transpiring over the coming months. And keep an eye out for other resources that will be coming from the Everybody Can't Go Convos library, talking about grief, the grieving process, and ways that you can have a healthier, it ain't gonna be happier. I can't promise you that. And you know that I don't blow smoke, but a healthier grieving process in having coping strategies, mechanisms, and other tools and techniques that hopefully will help you. I can't promise 100% that it'll work, but it's what I can offer from my own experience and from the experiences of those people that I bring to you guys to make an attempt at making it that much or that should I say less um strain on you as you work through your own process. As always, hit that subscribe button, like, let us know what you think in the comments. And if it's something super private, you already know, send me a DM and we'll just talk one on one if you don't want to discuss whatever it is in front of God and everybody on the whole internets with an S. And we thank you guys for tuning in for this week's episode of Everybody Can't Go Convos.